WXYZ celebrates 25 years of the Woodward Dream Cruise.
Oh my, the classics, the chrome, the horsepower.
So many good memories of the Woodward Dream Cruise since it all started in 1995.
And tonight we are going to take you back through 25 years of Woodward Dream Cruise history, all so you don't have to miss cruising this year. Good evening to you. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Dave Llewellyn. From the drive-in days to the cars that brought generations together to all the fun WXYZ crews have had on Woodward, we've got the unforgettable moments of the Woodward Dream Cruise. Here's how it all got started.
Back in the heydays of cruising in the 50s and 60s, Woodward Avenue was the place to be seen.
You wanted to go to Ted's, the Totem Pole, or Dan's, or any of those, and you would drive in and, hey, how are you, to the car next to you, or to the car on the other side of them. And then, of course, you had the stretch from Corton all the way out to Square Lake Road. That was a pretty good stretch where you could open the car up.
It was that kind of Woodward Avenue nostalgia which sparked the idea to create new cruising memories in 1995.
There's a wild pink Thunderbird, 66 Nova. We're just enjoying watching all the stuff go by.
A man named Nelson House had an idea to raise money for some local soccer fields by hosting a small cruise night.
Having cars that normally cruise Woodward and having a car show kind of seemed like a good idea.
We thought we were going to be big shots and have a wonderful event if we got 25,000 people there.
10 times that many people showed up along Woodward that first year, and since 1995, the cruise kept growing.
Regularly scheduled ABC programming will not be seen, so that we can bring you the following WXYZ-TV Century of Cars special, the Woodward Dream Cruise.
In 1996, WXYZ began broadcasting from along the avenue.
Mary Conway was the face of Channel 7 in the first years. We did a story on driving a gorgeous 57 Chevy, and Eric Smith. Eric Smith loved cars.
For 25 years, thousands of cruisers drive their dream cars on Woodward in celebration of automobile history.
It's the love of cars, and it's particularly the love of cars in Detroit, but it's the love of cars internationally.
It was supposed to be a one day, one time, and nobody expected. And here we are at 25 years.
Here we are, all these years later. So amazing to see Eric and Mary there on Woodward Avenue. You know, we are so looking forward to the return of the Woodward Dream Cruise next year after the coronavirus crisis forced the cancellation of the cruise in 2020. Executive Director of the Woodward Dream Cruise, Tony Michaels, spoke with us about what this event means to Metro Detroit and the decision to nix the cruise.
Woodward Dream Cruise celebrating 25 years, and you think about that, that is huge because a lot of things don't make it that long. And what does it is it's so wholesome and it's so real. And then to have it broadcast in 80% of America and it's through the syndication, it really puts our market, our area on a stage. And that's a good place because this area deserves to be on a stage. This is a very big deal.
The coronavirus forced the Woodward Dream Cruise board to cancel this year's event.
Everybody believed that we had to be responsible and very sensible when it came to the coronavirus. And the cities took the first step, in saying, hey, maybe this shouldn't happen. Maybe it shouldn't be an official event. And that'll cut back on the crowd.
The Woodward Dream Cruise will return to celebrate the Motor City's love of the automobile.
The Woodward Dream Cruise is so special because it's that, it's just the culture that we grew up here in the Detroit market. With cars. Cars are our lifeline. And to have all these great people out there celebrating all those years, those great vehicles, that is such an amazing, amazing feeling. I think it's pride that is really the buzzword when it comes to Woodward Dream Cruise. Pride in the cars, pride in our city, our communities, and pride in what the automobile means to us.
So many classic cars stood out over the years, but this first car may have been the fastest street legal car on Woodward back in the day. Let's go back to the first year WXYZ started broadcasting along Woodward. Here's Mary Conway in 1996 with what might be the most famous GTX to cruise the avenue.
This is the coolest car ever on the strip, and the guy behind the wheel is the man who built it. His name is Jimmy Addison, and listen to this. He's going to rev it for us. Now, these were when cars were cars, and this was the car to beat, a Plymouth GTX 67. It was the fastest car that was street legal. Jimmy told us it went 135 miles an hour on the straightaway. He had the gas station, the Sunoco, up at 14 Mile in Woodward. Let's hear some more about this car.
It was the summer of '69, and a man named Jim Addison took a 67 Plymouth GTX, packed it with a 490 cubic inch Hemi, flared the wheel wells for bigger racing tires, and covered it with every fiberglass body part Chrysler had available. The Silver Bullet was born. Around midnight, the car would take on challengers, usually drag racers with open headers trailered out to Woodward to test the Bullet's mettle. Countless magazines wrote of the mighty Silver Bullet.
That's what this was all about, was being the best on the street.
Bill Stinson worked in the Woodward gas station that Jim Addison owned. The Sunoco station was a meeting place for Chrysler engineers, and the car was Chrysler's outlet to the streets.
It was at nighttime that the station came alive. All the people who later became Chrysler's direct connection, which was their race parts end of Chrysler Corporation, used to hang out at Jim's gas station on Woodward in Birmingham nightly in the summer, and they would test parts on this car.
The Silver Bullet never lost a race and is unbeaten to this day.
Now, this is the car, and it was never beaten while it was running on Woodward Avenue. And the one thing Jimmy wants to tell us about this car, it was
the best car on the street in that day.
One sweet hot ride, always riding down Woodward. And that was Mary Conway reporting. Woodward is famous for being the first paved highway in the country. Glenda has more on just how long people have been cruising.
Woodward Avenue history dates back more than 2 centuries and runs 27 miles from Detroit to Pontiac. Here's a piece from the 1998 Dream Cruise, where Guy Gordon took a look at how one of the major intersections along the avenue grew up.
Ferndale was officially born some 80 years ago, established first as a village and then a city. Home to thousands of Ford employees, Ferndale led the way in creating the modern-day Woodward Avenue. From the beginning, 9 Mile in Woodward was the place to be. Long before cruisers made it a hub, Model Ts and trolley cars crisscrossed this intersection where police served as human traffic lights. Drivers took their cues from an officer in a crow's nest who turned a pole that said stop and go. Back then, you didn't exactly show off your car because your neighbor often had the exact same car. But that didn't stop people from cruising. Take a look at this picture of cars bumper to bumper on Woodward in the early 20s. Well, actually, this was a Memorial Day parade, but little did these people know it was a sign of things to come.
Boy, was it ever. So many things to come. Fast forward to the 1960s, and you'd find a familiar face cruising down the famous strip. Here's what cruising was like for our Cheryl Choden.
When I was in high school, Woodward Avenue was just the coolest place to be. It was a cool place to be any night of the week. It could be a weeknight, it could be a Saturday night. We would always ride up and down Woodward. First thing before a date, last thing when we had a date. If you were going to the library, no matter what you were doing, you would always ride up and down Woodward, and you would buzz the totem pole restaurant, buzz the different restaurants there were. The pole was the main place you would start. It was closest to 10 Mile Road. You'd buzz the pole, you'd always drive through, and you'd always come to the second half, and you'd back in, and you backed in, so whoever was cruising Woodward or driving up and down Woodward, when they came through the restaurants, you could see who they were, and they could see you, and you could communicate with them in some way. So one time I remember we were sitting in this totem pole, sitting right about here, and somebody from an opposing school came by, and we had beat them in basketball, and so they drove by and they mooned us. And they pulled their pants down and they mooned everybody that was parked on this cool side of the totem pole. And then they'd take off down Woodward, and that was kind of funny. Once in a while, if a lot of girls got together and they wanted to be, I don't know, kind of goofy, they'd pull at a light, and they'd kind of all get out of the car and they'd run around the car. You've seen that maybe in American Graffiti. They'd do funny things like that, or they'd change cars in the middle of it, or they'd drive in somebody else's car, or dates would change just to goof somebody up. Messing with the engine wasn't just a guy thing. I mean, I used to take off the air cleaner, and I wasn't alone. You take off the air cleaner in your car, and so it would sound bad. It would sound boom. You'd hear a big sound. It would sound like you had a lot more under the hood than what you really did. Here's what I'm talking about. Listen to this. Now that is bad. Of course, back in those days, bad meant good. I had a 55 Ford. My dad had bought me and my sister a 55 Ford. It was an automatic. But boy, if I put that car in low, it sounded like it was a stick. Even a girl, like 11th, 12th grader, I'd go out there. I mean, I'd be at a light. I'd look over at somebody, kind of nod at them, and I'd kind of punch it and race up Woodward. I know that sounds silly, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow, so much fun watching Cheryl Choden there. She was my favorite reporter growing up in Detroit, watching Channel 7 so many years ago. Well, we are just getting our cruise down memory lane started. Coming up next, we're going to take you back to 1998 when Home Improvement was a hit sitcom, and then superstar Tim Allen talked about his dream cars.
And we go back to the moment when a husband surprised his wife with a classic Corvette live on our Woodward Dream Cruise show. Stay with us.
Man, that music takes you back, doesn't it? You know, in 1998, Home Improvement was a hit sitcom right here on ABC. It was one of TV's most watched comedies. So when we got a chance to catch up with the show's star, Tim Allen, who grew up right here in Michigan and is a true car buff, we just had to talk about his favorite rides.
I grew up in Birmingham. A lot of the kids that went to school, I didn't have didn't have the facilities to have cars when I was in high school. In that era, even the kids that had money didn't buy Shelbys. So I bought a Shelby. Every car that I really wanted when I was a kid, I have now.
Is there one that stands out that you don't have anymore that you wish you did, or have you been able to buy all the cars you wanted?
I've tossed and turned over that SVO Mustang. They're not real difficult still to get. It was a tremendous automobile. It was so overpriced. No one bought it. I really remember that car most of all.
Is there a car that you own that's your favorite? Can you pick a favorite?
Boy, I have a 53 Ford pickup truck. When it's working, I got a Shelby engine in it and I got it slammed but lowered, big tires on it. I've spent a lot of work on it. It's probably my favorite all-around vehicle because it's fun. I love 53 Ford pickups. I love custom cars. I guess I have an old 500 Mercedes. All-around car, 500E Mercedes. It's many years old, but it's been a very trustworthy little car. And I've dialed it up a little bit, but it's just a sedan, and you can put 4 to 6 people in it, and they do make a hell of a car. The Woody is quite the car. A natural 1939 Ford Woody station wagon, and it's tremendous detail, tremendous era. I'm not really that vintage car. I'm just learning about old cars. This Woody is all about slick and old, and it doesn't go very fast. You certainly don't want to get this above 60 and not really think about that stoplight up there. And it's used to drive. I'm used to driving modern cars, and this thing you get it going, hey, waving at everybody, how you doing? Look at that, a stop sign. Doesn't seem to want to stop real well, does it? It's got like, I don't know, I have no idea what the brakes are. It's actually a pad in the floor. You stick your foot there. It doesn't stop real well, but I'm beginning to understand what Jay Leno likes about vintage cars. Once you get used to the basic level of them, I mean, the comfort, you got to drive an old 66 Mustang and realize how far Mustangs have come, and especially these.
As you age, do the cars mean different things to you? Like, do they remind you of being 60?
I wish I could put my prescription in the windshield. That's all. Bifocal windshield, I can't see. I have my doubts. I have several Ferraris. I have my doubts whether I'll like these when I get much older. I work out quite a bit, but it's not as fun getting in and out of a Ferrari as it used to be. I'm starting to look at the bigger Ferraris, that you can sit. They have a station wagon Ferrari. Do they make one of those?
So much fun, the cars and that connection, right? Don Shane and Val Clark had a lot of fun together during the cruise. Here's a beautiful convertible they found in Pontiac in 1999.
I may not be going to the drive-in, but boy, do I have a hot date tonight. Don.
Val and I are just chilling in this 1967 GTO. This is an unbelievable car.
Oh, gorgeous.
Joe and Anna Marie Seidel from Troy. This was Best in Show 2 years ago. They also have this Best in Show last year, the 56 Chevy. This is an incredible GTO, and let me show you one feature about this car that's kind of unique. It's got this little Kleenex dispenser in it.
But don't touch.
No, I can touch the Kleenex dispenser.
You can touch it, but we can't.
But you see these Kleenex inside? The original Kleenex from 1967. No one has ever taken a Kleenex out of this dispenser. They've had this car for about 4 years. And it's a beauty, isn't it, Val?
The interior is unbelievable. Metallic gold, then it kind of blends into a monochromatic green and then another green. I mean, it's just incredibly beautiful how clean these cars are.
And we'd like to thank Joe and Anna Marie for letting Val and I kind of chill in this car and sit here for now.
Wow, isn't it nice going down memory lane and seeing Don and seeing Val and what they looked like in 1999? Cool, cool. Val and Don certainly had a lot of fun out there in Pontiac. You never know exactly what you're going to see. Keenan Smith joins us now with a truly surprising moment during the cruise. Keenan.
Imagine getting your dream car on Dream Cruise Day. Back in 1999, Ed Utchwald gave his wife, Carol, the birthday surprise of a lifetime. Here's Mary Conway helping make Ed's dream come true.
My wife cruised Woodward. She was a West Sider, born and raised in Oak Park.
Ever since her high school days, Carol Utchwald has been in love with sports cars. First it was Camaros, then something much cooler.
I bought her a Corvette 15 years ago for her birthday, back in wilder, crazier times, I guess you could say.
Carol loved that 84 Vet, and so did her daughter Lori.
I remember riding in it, being one of the few Corvettes with a booster seat in it.
But Carol and Ed were nervous about Lori driving the Vet, so when she grew up, they sold it.
I kind of feel like I took her birthday present away from her, wanted to replace it. We've talked about old cars. This seems to fit the bill.
That is an understatement. Check this out. The replacement car, Carol's birthday gift this time around, is this sleek and oh so pretty 1966 Corvette. Ed bought it months ago, and his wife has no idea.
There's been a few close calls. There's been, obviously, things like the title, the insurance, the plates itself. We managed to obtain a 66 plate.
I've always thought my father was nuts, but not in this case in particular, no. Because I know my mom's going to love it, and the surprise just makes it even better.
Is this car gorgeous or what? And I've got a whole crowd of people behind me because we've all been talking about this car, and we want to ask, is this your favorite car? Yeah! Now, can you imagine how exciting this has been all evening, because all these people have been coming by this beautiful car, and we've got a little surprise for somebody. And now there is a little lady, and she keeps backing up here because she has not a clue what's going on. I'm sorry, God love you, it's not you. Ma'am. Yeah? You don't know me. No. But your husband kind of does. And he has something he wants to tell you. I understand it's your birthday. Yes. Yes. And see, now everybody at home is in on this because we've been talking about you all night long. Oh, wonderful. He's had this surprise waiting for you since May. And your daughter is in on it, too. You're kidding. Now, what did...
Happy birthday, baby.
No, you're kidding me.
Yeah, it's yours.
Why don't we walk over and see your brand new... Oh, my God. Your brand new, beautiful 66. Come get in your car. Oh, my God. Ed, I think you probably should go around and get in. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Tell me how much you love Corvettes.
Oh, they are, without a doubt, the most favorite vehicle of mine. And I am absolutely, totally dumbfounded.
Now tell me how much you love Ed.
There aren't enough words to describe that. This is one super husband.
How did you keep the secret?
It was a little tricky at times. cutting off the mail, the title, the registration, the insurance, all of that, so she didn't see anything about it. And just whispering away from her between Lori and I, just enough that we knew what was going on, so that she knew she had to come here, but she didn't know what was going on.
Now, Carol told us the gift was a total shock. Now, in the years that followed, the '66 Corvette was always a bright spot in her life. She and Ed cruised Woodward many times. Ed has since passed away, and Carol no longer has the car, but she says that Corvette brought her nothing but memories she'll always treasure. She's even looking forward to seeing it unfold all over again tonight, right here. Carolyn?
Wow, Keenan, what a great memory, a great surprise, all unfolding on live TV. Man, just amazing. You gotta love moments like that, right? Well, now we head into the new millennium. Dave Rexroth made his debut appearance on the Woodward Dream Cruise in the year 2000, right alongside Val Clark at the street party in Pontiac.
Just feast your eyes, first of all, on this beautiful 1967 Impala. Well, it is just one of thousands of cars making the loop right here in downtown Pontiac for the third year in a row, Dave.
That's right, the third year, my first year. I'm excited. You know, I've seen a lot of gorgeous cars, but so far it's all been about, I think, horsepower around here. It's going to be a pretty good night, a gorgeous night weather-wise. I'll take credit for that. We're talking more from Pontiac coming up in just a bit. We'll be back with some more action. Hang on.
Wow, Dave Rexroth and Val, such young kids in 2000, right? Well, the fun continues. When we come back, we head to 2003, when an SUV became a classic car people love to spot on Woodward.
So much fun on Woodward, right? Sha-Na-Na was a retro group of the 60s that revived 50s rock and roll. One of my favorite former co-anchors, the legendary Eric Smith, caught up with one of the group's members back in 2002. Check it out.
We are on top of the Phoenix Center and on top of the world, and who's with us? From old friend Bowser from Sha-Na-Na. Oh, man, is this something?
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, of course.
There's no event like this in the entire country, you know, and that's the truth.
Yeah,
the
really
Woodward
is.
Dream Cruise, nothing like it anywhere.
Well, you play a lot of shows.
We do. It's our second time back here, and I guarantee you there's nothing like this anywhere. We play all over the country, all over the world, and this is really one of the biggest car cruise. I think it's the biggest car cruise that there is that I know of. It's amazing. Hey, you know, he's pretty good. He's pretty good, but the look has got some, you know, I mean, leather jacket. This is like a little too modern, don't you think?
What about the shoes?
The shoes, put your foot down. It's embarrassing. Now, you want to try a little bit of Blue Moon?
Sure.
Bum 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 dang a dang 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 a dong ding blue moon blue moon blue. That's my part, Eric. Dip 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 moon blue moon blue moon.
Having some fun on Woodward Avenue.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it's all about, right? Well, the summer of 2003 threw us an August curveball. A blackout swept the Northeast, leaving most people in Metro Detroit without power for a day or more. Channel 7 scrambled to continue on with the Dream Cruise, our staff working overtime to pull off the show and highlight cars like this next one.
Hulking drivetrains piled high, abandoned engines silenced by time. These are the skeletons of Ford Broncos long ago put out to pasture. Welcome to the Bronco Graveyard. Jeff Trapp refurbished a Bronco years ago and ended up finding his life's work.
Well, I bought two, and one was pretty good shape, and the other was a parts truck, and we made it one nice vehicle, and we just started selling the parts left over from the other one, and bought another one, and bought another one, and bought another one, and kept going from there.
Jeff has brought several Broncos back to life, built from 66 to 96. Trapp's personal collection includes some of the highlights of the model years. A cherry 1970 red pickup once used by the Salem Township Fire Department. a 77 blue wagon, and this 66 black Roadster rescued from the DRC racetrack.
Most people don't think of an SUV as a classic. What is it about this one?
They only made 235,000, so there's a limited number out there. It is in one of the top 5 collectible vehicles right now.
Trapp's collectibles are all meant to be driven.
So how long have you had this one?
I've had this about 6 years.
And his more than 10,000 square foot warehouse in South Lyon is filled with the parts, doors, hoods, and floorboards to rein in any wayward Bronco.
It's called the Graveyard, but it's really a treasure trove for anyone who loves the Bronco, and he has it all, everything from the steering wheel to a 75 Bronco, and he even has everything right down to the emblems. This is the 66, and he even has the bucking Bronco from 1980.
Dave Atwater has managed to corral one of the Broncos built for Baja racing. Race driver Bill Stropp designed the specifications for the racing version, right down to the roll bar, built to handle the extreme conditions of road racing through the Baja Peninsula. The 1973 Baja Bronco is a hit with sons Scott and John.
Boys love it. I can't even sneak out of the garage without one of them wanting to go for a ride with me.
The Baja Bronco was only made for 4 years, and of the 600 built, only about 75 or 80 are still on the road. Atwater hopes one day to do a full restoration.
They're as rare as a lot of other vehicles and rarer than most. You know, anybody can go find a Corvette for sale, but if you want to find a Bronco for sale, you really got to look.
Dave Atwater still has that 73 Baja Bronco, which is now a collector's item. It was one of only 320 built. Dave still calls it a work in progress. It's in his garage, and he tinkers when he can. Since this piece in 2003, he's added a 1966 Bronco, which he and his wife, with now grown children, love to cruise around in and go off-road.
Wow, isn't that amazing to see Dave Atwater with his big boys there and that beautiful car? Oh, so many memories. All right, coming up next, we get up close and personal with a classic car that's a fan favorite every single year. But first, all of us at Channel 7 look forward to working on the Woodward Dream Cruise each and every year. It never really feels like work to us. It feels more like a giant party. And parties, of course, always include a little dancing. Here's a look back at a few times we put a little swing in our steps.
In 2004 marked 10 years of the Woodward Dream Cruise. By then, it had become a tradition for millions of people to line the streets of Woodward on the third Saturday in August. They brought their lawn chairs and raided cars as they drove by. Alan Campbell has more on another tradition. Alan?
Certain cars became fan favorites, one we see on Woodward year after year. Let's go back when former WXYZ reporter Ray Sayah got close up to the radical custom car we all know as Shaboom.
Folks, car lovers like to give their cars names, and we have a car here that's named Shaboom, and it's for good reason. Joining us right now is Mr. Freeze from Dearborn. First off, tell us about this beauty, a 1951 Ford.
Well, it's a radical custom in a traditional 50s custom style, which is kind of a lost art that I wanted to bring back, and
And tell us why you named it Shaboom.
It's after a 50s group by the Chords song, Shaboom.
And at the push of a button, you can actually play it. Let's go ahead and hear it.
Okay.
And he has speakers put in the outside of this car. Take a listen, folks. This is Shaboom in 1950. That could be a dream. There it is. That could be a dream. And go off to the beat of Shaboom. But this isn't just a car that plays songs. It is also one of the best flame-throwing cars in the country, and you're going to see something remarkable. Take a look at this, folks. One of the best flame-throwing cars in the world, and you're about to see it. There it is. It shabooms a song, and it shabooms some flames, too. Take a look at that. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. There it is. The lyrics of Shaboom, Shaboom go like this. Life is a dream, Shaboom, Shaboom, and this is certainly a dream car. Take a look at that.
You know, it definitely doesn't feel like a dream cruise until you've spotted Shaboom. Well, we're still in the year 2004, and this time, Mary Conway shows us how the love of cars brought a 10-year-old and his grandfather closer together, not only to learn about classics, but to learn about life lessons as well.
The mural on the back of Mike Allen's custom 36 Ford is of an original gangster, and that might be what his license plate once stood for, but now it could stand for Outstanding Granddad. Because while Mike has always been fascinated with cars, his latest project is a true labor of love.
I just said, well, I need to do something unique to match my car, and I can do it for my grandson.
So Mike set out to build a replica of his hot rod, a way for him to spend more time with his car and his family.
I found a kit that I could buy and purchase and put together and cut out and make it me and him. And that's it.
And it is beautiful, right down to the flame detail, perfect for 10-year-old Donald.
They'll say, Donald, is this yours? I would say, yeah. And they'd be like, where'd you get it from? And I'd be like, my granddaddy built it for me.
It has its own little trailer, and oftentimes that's how you'll see them. Mike and Donald heading off to car shows together, and together they draw a lot of attention.
They overlook my car looking at that. Man, look at the little car. It's not so much that my car is fancy, the little car.
Mike and Donald spend a lot of time working on the cars, forging a bond, and learning life's lessons.
The values of if you have something, take care of it, admire it, love it, respect it, and I guarantee you get a lot of joy out of it.
Yeah, I like the polish. I be polishing the big one, too.
Mike calls this his toy, but it's anything but child's play. It's big enough to hold a big kid like me, and it will burn rubber.
Mike hopes that one day his grandson will grow to appreciate his burning love of cars, right down to the flames on his hot rod.
Fire in my heart for the fact that I really like street rods, and when I was able to get a real phenomenal street rod, I wanted it to just burst out. Right.
And you can already see the spark in Donald's eyes.
I like the colors, and I like, you got a CD player and stuff in it. And I like how it runs, and it burns rubbers too.
Now that is one cool granddaddy. I hope Donald still has that car and a love for cars. You know, Mary Conway always had the knack for spotting the great cars from a mile away. Here she is in 2005 with 4 classics she found cruising down Woodward Avenue.
This is a 54 Cadillac. Her name is Maybelline. Isn't she gorgeous? One thing about the Dream Cruise, you can always find something to go with every outfit. I've already picked out a 55 Ford. Isn't this great? These 4 guys went to Kimball High School together. They live all over Michigan now. They're back just to have a little fun. Get a load of this 37 Chevy. Isn't it great? Look at the two-tone color, a little yellow, a little burgundy. It has been shining and gorgeous tonight. And another special car I want you to see, a 33 REO Speedwagon. It wasn't just a band, it really was a car, a 33. In fact, her grandfather helped build the car. So this is just a great night on Woodward, something for everybody.
You think Mary was having any fun? You bet she was. Well, it was named one of the coolest car clubs in Michigan, and it was also one of the oldest. Let's take a look back at the Kingsmen, a group of car folks who were friends since grade school.
You may not realize it, but you're looking at royalty, cruising royalty, that is. These 5 men and their wives are members of one of the oldest car clubs in Michigan. Larry Ball and Lynn Goodwin formed the Kingsmen 50 years ago when gas was cheap and cruising was king. Back in their day, they cruised telegraph.
My father had a gas station, so I became the first president because of that.
There were 5 original members. That's Larry when he was just 17, and that's Lynn.
None of us were involved in speed. I know we drag raced a little bit, but we didn't, with no big engines or anything along that line.
Over the years, the members of the original group went their separate ways, and then 18 years ago, Larry saw Lynn at a 50s dance and decided it was time to revive the group. Lynn convinced Larry to buy his dream car, a 1954 Mercury.
We went through the whole car and stripped it down to bare metal and replaced the floors and got the 55 Oldsmobile headlights. We got a lot of tricking out on the car, but there again, it was all done by all of us.
Lynn is known as the body man, but the group needed an artist as well. That's where Roger Marks comes in. Roger's specialty is paint. Not only has he sprayed all the cars, but he does the pinstriping freehand.
For some reason, I can picture things finished before they are. I can picture what it's going to look like.
And his custom 59 Ford Galaxy is a work of art, from the sleek skirts to the 45 record player, complete with speakers from the drive-in. These lead sleds may be the draw, but friendship is the heart of this very close-knit group.
How many people do you know from grade school? Or how many people do you know from the last 10 years? That type of thing. And this is a pretty tight group, really.
Not only does each car have a name, such as Green Ice or Sleepwalk, notice the crown. They consider the car club more social than anything else. They only have one formal meeting each year to determine which shows they'll attend. All 5 cars won awards at the Autorama the same year, though, and they also received other honors.
We were at one show in Holland, and it was a real big show, and we were awarded the coolest club because we were so sociable, and they said they can find us by our laughter. And that says it all. Good times, good friends.
Good times, good friends. That was Dave Rexroth reporting there. You got to wonder where the Kingsmen are now, but hopefully they're still enjoying their cars. Coming up next, a few more of the celebrities who stopped by our Woodward Dream Cruise set over the years, plus what life as a drive-in security guard was like in the 50s and 60s. Hear what he used to tell the mischievous kids at the car hop. But first, the cute kids our cameras caught over the years.
A lot of, shall we say, minor mischief used to happen at the old drive-ins along Woodward. In 2006, Mary Conway introduced us to one of the original security guards who used to have to lay down the law, and a drive-in patron who admitted he was a rascal.
Eddie Zoll has always loved fast cars, and he loved hanging out on Woodward. He was a regular at the drive-ins, so much so that security guards in the parking lot knew him and his car.
So we'd come in off of Woodward, and George would be standing there, and he'd recognize the car, and he'd take his 2 fingers and point at you like that. He'd come over and he'd say, "You behave tonight or you're going to have to go home early."
Eddie owns Pete's Coney Island in Clarkston, a restaurant where his family serves up friendship along with the ham and eggs, with heaping servings of nostalgia on the side.
The walls are filled with pictures of fast cars and fun. Not long after opening this location, an elderly gentleman came up and shook Eddie's hand.
And he says, "You're Eddie Zoll, and you had a black GTO, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he says, "Well, I'm the security guard from Ted's."
Yes, George Thompson is the man who chased teenagers and their dreams of fast cars and hot dates out of a number of drive-ins on Woodward.
I used to work at Big Boy, Mavericks, the Totem Pole, and the good old famous place, Ted's Drive-In.
Over the years, Eddie and George have become good friends, often reminiscing about the old days when George's job was to try and keep Eddie and other kids from what he calls mischief and devilment.
I had to keep them in their car. They always liked to chase the girls.
They did?
That was the biggest part of it.
And many an evening, George would have to lay down the law, cracking down on the teenagers.
If they didn't behave, so long, boys. See you tomorrow night.
Eddie, you and your guys get out of here tonight and see you tomorrow.
Eddie has even taken George out to revisit Woodward. The drive-ins are long gone, but the memories linger.
We cruised up and down, and he likes to wear his uniform, and he'd put it on, and people would wave at him and say hi, and we had a good time with him.
Theirs is a friendship built on mutual respect and remembrances of a time when things were simpler, and a security guard could ruin all your fun with these little words.
So long, boys. See you tomorrow night.
I bet you all of those parents appreciated George and him saying, "See you later, boys." Love it, love it. All right, so what is a rat rod and what's a hot rod? Well, there is a big difference. So back in 2007, we set out to get the answer.
Rat rods to me are the in thing today to do.
It's like a Heinz 57 variety. We think it's heading from California this way.
Went to California and saw rat rods out there.
They'll take just about any kind of a car, cut it up, weld it back together with maybe a tractor radiator shell or a headlight from a tractor or taillights from a bus.
They build them to think that they're hot rods, but they're really not hot rods.
It's whatever the owner wants to do.
It's the latest phenomenon of collector cars affectionately called rat rods. While there seems to be no exact definition, some look like Uncle Jed's jalopy from the Beverly Hillbillies. Others are a work of art, like Cliff McKillop's 1970 Lincoln limousine.
Red wheels, white walls. I've got purple primer on it. I've painted the entire car, roof, and the whole lower body.
A lot of the rat rods have kind of raised the level of their car, and now we've got this spread into what we call traditional hot rods. Sometimes people think they're synonymous, but there definitely is a difference. And if you call a traditional hot rod car a rat rod, some people get emotional.
The term rat rod is an insult to Brothers Custom Automotive owner Bill Jaganow. Yes, his 27 model Roadster may look raw with its rusty body and wood floors, but Jaganow insists his is a traditional hot rod, just like you would see in the 1940s.
Make it look like it's going 100 miles an hour when it's standing still.
People always ask if what I'm going to do to it. Is it going to get painted? Is it going to have other improvements? But the car's been this way for 44 years, and it's going to stay this way.
Whether it's a traditional hot rod or what some people consider a rat rod, they share one thing in common.
They're just fun to have.
And alongside the rat rods and hot rods, you'll spot famous faces in the crowds. Keenan Smith joins us with more on that.
Over the years, celebrities have popped up on Woodward Dream Cruise shows, and a few made an appearance before they were famous. Take a look.
Stars of the 1973 movie American Graffiti reminisced about the cult classic. Paul Lament and Cindy Williams said they love that American Graffiti still resonates with movie watchers.
People continue to get something out of the movie. They watch it over and over again. And of course, it's a great blessing to us.
Calling out around the world, are you ready for a brand new beat?
Motown singer Martha Reeves had us dancing in the street. Reeves sang her hit song as a duet with Christy McDonald while the WXYZ crew danced along. Food Network star Guy Fieri raved to Mary Conway about his taste of the cruise.
All the greatest hot rods you'll ever find in this country all come together on one big weekend, out of bounds.
Anson Williams, who played Potsy on Happy Days, was happy to talk to Alicia Smith and Vic Faust, who loved his first Woodward Dream Cruise.
And I cruised today, man. I cruised. That is something else. That is some boulevard, man.
And get this, way before they started on national television, Keegan-Michael Key and Mark Evan Johnson had parts in the 1999 Dream Cruise music video. Key and Jackson at the time were part of Second City Detroit. Key went on to several roles, including the sketch comedy series Key and Peele, while Jackson landed roles on sitcoms like The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So it seems the cars bring or even make the stars.
What history and fun for so many years. Up next, a look back at the Pontiac brand and the cruisers who love its iconic cars.
Wow, look at all those sweet rides. Welcome back to celebrating 25 years of the Woodward Dream Cruise. The cars you'll find at Woodward span the decades. Here's a look at a few we found along the avenue in 2008.
You know what's amazing when you come to the Dream Cruise is all the different cars that you see from all of the different decades. We are looking right now, if you come on out, my photographer here, I am standing among 50 years of cars here. It's just incredible. We're going to start on this one right here. This one is a, you tell me, sir.
1956 Ford Victoria.
Ford Victoria. You've owned this for how long?
30 years.
30 years.
Yep.
You restore part of this car?
I redid the whole thing myself.
You did?
Yep.
Parts of what? How many cars did you say you worked on?
3 different cars it took to put this one together.
What a beauty. You cruise, you don't just bring this out on Woodward Avenue for the Dream Cruise, do you?
We've been down here all week. We drive it all summer. We drive it, we probably put 3,000 to 4,000 miles on it a year.
Isn't that great?
So
It's a beauty. And I know you've had a wonderful time today. Thanks so much for letting me talk to you, right? So we've got one from the 50s over here. Now take a look at this. I'm going to cut in front of this car here. 1920s is what this one is right here. You tell me about your car.
Well, it's a 1923 Ford. It kind of started out as one, and then we rebuilt it from there. It's been done about 30 years, and we built it at my dad's shop a long time ago, and it looks pretty good for its age.
I'd say, and this is, people, don't be mistaken here. This doesn't sit in a garage all the time and just be brought out to Woodward. You drive this everywhere.
Yes. There's rock chips everywhere, and there's dirt, mud all over it, and rubber behind the bed, but you drive it all the time.
Well, why not enjoy it, right?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, from the 20s, real quick, we'll finish off here. 71 this is?
70, yeah.
1970. Tell me about this.
Well, it's a 1970 Mustang Fastback. I've got a Boss 302 in it. I've had it for about 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, coming all the way from Canada.
Be good for you. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Beautiful car. All 3 of them are. A great night.
Joanne Purton from 2008. Now, when we're out there live, you never know who will drive by. Leave it up to Don Shane to find something strange in the neighborhood in 2009.
You're on Woodward, you got Dream Cruise stuff all around you, and you run into the Ghostbusters car. Robert Bennett owns this car. He comes from Virginia to be in the Dream Cruise. Your inspiration behind this, I guess.
It was a great car. It was the exhibition car that toured America right after the movie came out with group promotions. And a great friend of ours, Bob Lentz, had it for 20 years, had it fully restored, and sold it to us.
So this car is like identical to what was in the movies?
That's correct. It was actually designed from the original plans that were done in 1983.
Okay, so why did you want it so badly?
Well, we love Ghostbusters, and this is the 25th anniversary of it, so we bought it, we shipped it out here. This is our first time driving it down the road. We figured it couldn't be a better place than here because Group Promotions is international championship auto shows, which is based out of Pontiac. So
right.
We brought it home.
So when you're here and you're driving up and down the street, the reaction's just incredible. It has to send chills around you.
Oh yeah, we love sharing it with everybody. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Julie, you like this?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
Can't be any better than this.
Yeah.
What? Perfect.
Okay, how about you?
It's hot, but it's fun.
Maybe you're hot. I don't know. What's the stuff you're wearing here?
Oh, I've got the Proton Pack.
The proton pack.
And don't forget the goggles for protection.
Hey, thanks for this. Have a great night.
Thanks so much. We were having a great time.
The Ghostbusters car, cruising Woodward.
Costumes and all. Love it. Ghostbusters, right? With Don Shane. 2009 was also the year we said goodbye to the Pontiac brand. Mary Conway spoke with true Pontiac lovers and took a look at icons of the brand.
It's a throwback to when America was America. This is at the peak of the automotive industry, I would say, when they could do what they wanted to do, and the public enjoyed it.
Little GTO, you really looking fine.
Perhaps the most famous of the Pontiacs is the GTO, the first affordable performance car.
This is the car that made DeLorean famous. If this car would have died, his career would have died with it.
The 389 with its tri-power engine was immortalized in song, and they're some of the most prized cars cruising Woodward.
The drivers tell me that this year's Dream Cruise is especially poignant now that General Motors has decided to phase out the Pontiac brand.
Randy Zilke used to race GTOs. He bought one of the newer versions.
I wish they would have kept the Pontiac. I really do. I think, my parents had Pontiacs, I had Pontiacs, my brother had a Pontiac. It's kind of sad to see a tradition go away.
Jim Clark bought his 66 GTO in 1972. After hitting a deer in the late 70s, he bought all the parts to fix it, but didn't find the time to do it until the 90s. He spent more on the steering wheel than he did to buy the car. But when he starts it up, it immediately takes him back.
We were happiest when we were just cruising and letting the wind fly in your hair.
Gonna save all my money.
What a great car, and we do miss the Pontiac brand. Well, here's a look at one artist who shows us that art and car design go hand in hand.
Mark Brendo started drawing as a kid. Today, he's a commercial artist who specializes in automotive art. He's created designs for just about every major car event in town. He admits he sees cars from a unique perspective, more about form than function.
I sort of look at them as moving sculptures, and so when I go to a car show and stuff, I kind of treat it as kind of an art gallery.
He says no matter where he went, he found himself drawn to this 31 Ford. So he wasn't surprised to learn the Red Hot Roadster was the car chosen for this year's Dream Cruise poster. The car is owned by Jim George.
I got it in 1960 from a fellow in Fort here named Jim York. And he was getting married and had to sell the car because his wife didn't want it. And he got married, and I bought the car. I love it because it's loud. Yeah, I never cap it up. It's always open headers, always.
Jim started cruising Woodward back in the 50s with a 57 Pontiac, and of course, the red Roadster that he admits was a little too fun and way too fast.
A lot of drag racing on Woodward. I ended up with 32 points on my record. And the cops came over to my house one day, told my dad they were going to take the tires and wheels off the car if I didn't quit it, So I had to quit.
And what does he think about being selected as the Dream Cruise poster car?
It's really an honor, really. And Mark did a hell of a job, with the poster and all of the graphics and everything that he did on it. It looks like it's going 100 mile an hour standing still.
Man, that's one sweet ride on the road or on that poster there. Now, remember all the movies made here in Michigan? Coming up next, we look back at the custom cars created for some of those blockbusters. But first, I'm excited to share with you the young dancers from Legacy Dance School who graced our show over the years, and one of them is my youngest daughter, Brooke.
Alrighty, let's check out that Soul Train line. Soul Train line. Soul Train line.
Hey, you! Come on, get on the floor! Riding on the taxis, the daffodils who entertain.
Back in the heydays of cruising, the drive-ins were the place to be seen. Let's take a trip back in time and hear the fond memories heading to Ted's or the Susie Q.
Ed Off cruised Woodward back when burgers were just 35 cents. $1 bought 10 gallons of gas and a whole Saturday night full of fun. Ed admits he did a little drag racing in his 37 Plymouth pickup, but he always ended up at one of the drive-ins on Woodward, and he has the pictures to prove it.
I took the pictures in 1947, late summer, I think it was.
These photos provide a rare glimpse back in time at one of Woodward's most popular drive-ins.
The Hollywood Drive-In is at the southwest corner of Normandy and Woodward. It was a very popular drive-in because it didn't have no cruising signs.
Now Ed is on a mission to find all the old drive-ins on Woodward. So far, he's located 19 of them.
The Totem Pole was probably the most popular one.
Another hot spot was Mavericks. Some other popular hangouts included the Dipsy Doodle, the Susie Q, the National, and the Big Boy Drive-In.
Ted's was a popular place. He had, it was Ted's trailer to start with, and then it became Ted's Drive-In.
That was Diana Lewis reminiscing there with Ed about the drive-ins here in Michigan. You know, the Woodward Dream Cruise brings families together and can really spark the imaginations of a younger generation. Here's a look in 2010 when we caught up with a really young cruiser.
We are right here, and we're very busy having a very wonderful conversation with perhaps the youngest chick with Classic. You are part of the Chicks with Classic group, aren't you, Ashley?
Yes.
This is Ashley Zimmerman. And what are you sitting in, darling?
A Mini T23.
I love it.
That's pretty cool. And Ashley, I have to ask you, how old are you? You seem very mature.
Only 5.
Only 5? And how long have you been driving this car?
For 1 year.
Wow. And how old were you when you started driving?
1.
Well, you were driving since you were 1?
Yes.
And what's so special about your car?
It's so special because it was handmade by my dad.
Oh, that's fun. We're going to talk with Ashley's dad just a little bit.
Are.
Let me ask you a couple more questions now. Are your friends watching tonight?
Yes.
What do you think they'll think about you being on TV?
They'll think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool too. Now, inside you have a dashboard and your gauges. What's special about your gauge? What's on there?
My name's on the gauges.
Yeah, and you have a horn?
Yes.
Can you do it for me?
Sure.
Let's hear it.
Nice. Pretty fancy, pretty sexy. So when you go around, was this your first car?
No, it's my second car.
What color was your first car?
Yellow.
Which one do you like better, yellow or white?
White.
And why else do you like this car best?
Just because it has cool pinstripes, and I get to drive it myself. And
Hey, how fast can you go?
It can go up to 40.
40? Holy cow.
I know we could talk to Ashley all day because she is the sweetest little thing and quite talkative. But real quick, Ashley's dad, you're doing this. You really want kids to get involved with cars.
Yes, I do. We need to get more kids out there doing this type of thing so that they are the future of Woodward and we can all keep doing this and riding along with them when we get older.
I love it. So this is the Tot Rod. This is what Ashley's driving. A darling little girl with her little American girl, my twin with her.
How sweet was Ashley? Custom cars were in high demand when big budget movies were in production here in Michigan a decade ago. We head back to 2010 to see how local auto shops were creating movie cars.
Don Roberts and Harvey Ledesma customize all kinds of cars. One day, they came up with the idea of offering their cool cars to production companies making movies in the area. After a lot of convincing, one company gave them a shot.
We brought the stuff on time, and they loved everything we brought them, and, you know, it just took off from there.
One of their first films starred this Ford Fairlane.
We did a film with Hilary Swank called The Betty Ann Water Story, which isn't out yet.
Robert De Niro drove this '89 Grand Marquis in a new movie called Stone, shot at Jackson Prison. Those mud splatters are there on purpose. They also created duplicate cars for special effects.
They blew up like 11 cars, so we'd have to find, you know, you'd have the good 60s car and find a duplicate because nobody's going to want to blow up their classic car.
They've provided cars for 12 films so far, including Machine Gun Preacher with Gerard Butler, The Irishman with Chris
Christopher Walken, and Red Dawn. Their biggest project so far is Real Steel from executive producer Steven Spielberg.
And that's with Hugh Jackman. It takes place in 2020, the Outlaw Boxing.
They started with GM concept cars, modified them, and now they look like something the Jetsons would drive.
They want something futuristic, but, you know, something that looks real.
Custom Creations also built the hero vehicle for this film, but you'll have to wait for the movie to see that one. Meanwhile, they're getting this 73 Charger ready for another production. The work just keeps pouring in.
We love it. You know, I mean, it's exciting for the guys here at the shop. It's kind of neat to see your stuff on the big screen.
So watch for these cars coming soon to a Cineplex near you.
Wow, cool to see all those sweet rides in movies, right? Coming up next, why the 2012 Woodward Dream Cruise was especially memorable for us here at Channel 7.
Plus, the 71 Chevelle we found that had an interesting driver behind the wheel.
I think we're jamming all of this music in this show today. Well, 2012 was a special summer street party. Glenda joins us right now with some very happy memories.
2012 was the year we saw plenty of classics, but it was also a final cruise for two of our own classics.
Along with watching the classics and the chrome, crowds came out to wish my mom, Diana Lewis, a happy retirement after 35 years at WXYZ.
This is one of the most wonderful days of my life. This is absolutely spectacular. The people have been wonderful. You're here now with so much love, so much support, so many well wishes. I can't say it enough. I thank you so much. I love you. Thank you.
It was also the final cruise for car connoisseur Mary Conway. She was surprised with a ride in her favorite car, a 1957 Chevy.
We're going to take this 57 Bel Air convertible with your family. We're going to get in there, and it's out of our Heritage Center. We're going to drive it together down to Dugan's. You ready to go?
And you know the 57 is my absolute favorite. It's the year I was born. What a cool thing!
Let's go.
It was quite a night celebrating Mom and Mary.
And it was really a family affair. So many of you came out to celebrate food, fun for their final cruise. Mom and I had a blast. Dave.
Glenda, thanks. So many memories over the years. Big ones right there for sure. Margaret Dunning is remembered as one of Michigan's finest philanthropists. She led a fascinating life and said the loves of her life were her cars. We spoke with her about her most beloved cars in 2013 when she was 103.
Shall I shove it in third? I love to hear it sing in third and bring it back into fourth. That's the joy of owning a Packard.
Margaret Dunning has experienced the joy of owning this gorgeous cream-colored 1930 Packard Roadster for more than 60 years. Classic cars are her passion and just may be the secret to her longevity. She turned 103 years old earlier this summer.
Packard is the love of my life because of the quality that they put into their machinery.
The Packard features beautiful wood and chrome accents with 22 coats of hand-rubbed lacquer. It comes with 2 glove boxes, a map light, and a cigar lighter. It was designed to be a sports car with a rumble seat, even a compartment to store your golf clubs. In the old days, the hood ornaments were hand-tooled by jewelers.
You can see the eyes and the eyelids on this one here. I think they're a work of art.
Margaret's passion for the automobile began early.
I was a farmer's daughter, and we had plenty of machinery, and my father was a very good mechanic.
She was born and raised in this house that was once part of a large farm at the corner of Plymouth Road and Telegraph. Henry Ford was a neighbor and family friend. Margaret learned to drive at age 8.
My father used to say, well, do you know that you have a wonderful thing at your command? But he says, it's only you that's going to take that car and make it behave.
With that attitude, it's no surprise she drove a truck for the Red Cross during the war. She never married.
I was storekeeper and owner. I was a banker. I was a real estate agent.
She started collecting classic cars back in the 1950s.
I've enjoyed all my cars. They're all different, and they sing a different tune.
In addition to the Packard, she currently owns this 1931 Model A pickup.
It's the most faithful little Model A you ever saw. It goes putt, putt, putt from morning till night if you treat it right, but don't push it.
And a 66 Cadillac DeVille, which she often drives to the Dream Cruise.
There is the spot on the upholstery. I have all the extra rubber mats and everything that goes with it, and it is a joy to take on a trip. It's like riding in a rocking chair.
Margaret has won several awards and trophies at car shows and concours d'elegance around the world, including a perfect 100 for the Packard. She was just named one of the Detroit News 2013 Top 10 Michiganians for her philanthropy. So what's her secret to living a long and happy life?
I thoroughly enjoy people, and I have a love of seeing the next day come forth. It's a joy in the morning to get up to say, well, I've got another day to go.
Margaret passed away in 2015, just shy of her 105th birthday. She definitely spread her love of cars to those she met at classic car events around the country, including at all of her drives in the Woodward Dream Cruise. Carol?
And you got to just love her attitude about life, too. Just living to see another day with happiness, too. Well, you'll find that same passion for classics in a new generation. Alicia Smith has more on that. Alicia?
I tell you what, you'll meet a lot of young people who are enthused about an older automobile. Back in 2014, I met up with an especially smart, talented, and driven young man.
This 1971 Chevelle always gets a second look. The beautifully restored muscle car boasts a 454 big block Chevy engine with 450 horsepower. But it's not the car that's turning heads when it goes for a cruise, it's the driver. Even the neighborhood mail carrier notices the man behind the wheel.
I'm impressed because he's got such a baby face.
Do you get that a lot?
Occasionally, yeah.
It's true though. He's 18. It's incredible what he accomplished. David Green's been working on this car since he was 16. From the suspension to the interior and even the car doors. Wait. You have no door handles.
Nope. All right there.
Do that?
It's got the popper on the inside to open up the door. Yep, it's all by remote.
Once you get in, first it's about the sound. There it is. It's rumbling. Then it's about the looks.
I just feel like I should wave at everybody. Hey, I know you want to be in this car. Okay, these folks, we're going to pass them on the bridge here. Maybe give them a little gun it here. Oops, I think we might have scared her.
As we went cruising through David's hometown of Farmington, I learned the car started as a project with his dad.
I wanted a classic muscle. I wanted, a big motor in it, something you can play with.
He worked on the Chevelle at home.
Weekends straight of work, every nice day, I'm out here working on it, When it's bad, it's touching stuff up in the basement and prepping for a new project, so.
And at school.
Working with Mr. O, my auto shop teacher, he's,
I'm sure
and he loved
sounds
it.
like you were his star student.
I hope so.
At Farmington High, his car got a lot of attention.
I've gotten crowds at the end of school checking it out, asking questions. A few more projects we want to do with this, working a little bit more on the interior and, cleaning it up.
It's the end of our cruise, but the start of a promising road for David.
Believe it or not, David is still tinkering on that 71 Chevelle. He's finished the interior, but is now pulling parts together for a new engine build. And if you're curious, he's been interning in the automotive industry as he finishes up college. So proud of him. Dave?
Developing that love at a young age. Alicia, thank you. And up next, a true time machine.
Flux capacitor?
Fluxing.
Nice. Wait a minute, I don't think we have enough road to go 88 miles per hour.
Roads? Where we're going, you don't need roads.
Alicia returns for another trip back in time.
Hi, my name's Carrie Stanley. I'm from Newark, Delaware.
I come to the Woodward Cruise. It's the first time. I brought my 67 Camaro Royal Plum L78 car that I restored about 15 years ago. I'm enjoying the show. It's really great out here.
My name is Keith Battle. I live in Concord, North Carolina, which is a town north of Charlotte, North Carolina. Been coming here about 10 years with a group of friends of mine. This year I bought my 68 GTO, which was purchased by my father in 68 and driven by me since high school. So been driving for about 30 years and really been enjoying it.
Brought my daughter up from Arkansas and my grandson. This will be a first event for them, although I've been here for several years. This is a 57 Oldsmobile that I found in a barn in Wisconsin. We pulled it out and started the restoration a couple of years ago, and we finished up about 6 months ago.
Hello, I'm Raymond Skipper. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. This is my 71 Corvette convertible 4-speed car. I come to the Dream Cruise mainly to see all the nostalgic cars that are here, the performance automobiles, the classics. This is my 6th year coming up here to Detroit, and I plan to be back.
And it's always been so cool to hear from how far people have come to join in on the Woodward Dream Cruise. It's drawn visitors, of course, from all over the country and the world. Over the years, we've met up with people from as far away as Germany and Australia. But wherever they come from, it's all about dreaming of the cars they'd like to cruise in. Alicia?
One of my dream rides, this next car. Check out the cruise that really took me back in time.
In a flash, we were hooked.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yep, a DeLorean DMC-12, or as most people just call it, the DeLorean. And we all fell in love with that futuristic car, including Joe Vitale of Warren. He bought one back in 2007. He meets fans everywhere he goes. Fans like me.
I have never been in the DeLorean before,
Really?
and it looks so cool. I love this. I want to look at your license plate.
1.21 gigawatts.
Yes! I love that.
The gull-winged doors, the stainless steel finish, the halogen headlamps, trunk in the front, engine in the back, and it always draws a crowd.
1, 2, 3. Have you ever sat in a DeLorean before?
First time.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's so nice. If I had the money, I'd buy it today.
I know. Me too.
About 9,200 of them were rolled out between 1981 and 83, selling for about $25,000. That would be more than $64,000 now.
It doesn't seem too different until you close the doors. Then it's like you're in a spaceship or something.
I know, right? And you've got the flux capacitor.
I've got the flux capacitor.
You are legit. Does it light up?
It does.
Are you serious? Oh, look at this. This is awesome.
He even added the console buttons for the full effect.
I love that.
That's what makes time travel possible.
No kidding. Shield eyes from light. I'm sorry. Should have read the directions.
Once on the road, cruising's a cool experience.
It is such a head turner. You know,
Oh, definitely.
Oh, there's a DeLorean.
I cannot remember the last time I've taken the car out and it had not been photographed. Everybody's got their cell phone cameras these days, and you feel like a celebrity.
And Joe's a regular at the Dream Cruise, usually coasting with the doors up, and proud to say everything he's modified on the car could be easily undone.
Are you telling me that you kept the cassette player somewhere in store? You did?
Yes, I do have the Craig radio cassette, which in its day in 1981, that was state of the art. A four-speaker sound system with a
no
cassette,
doubt.
So
Crank that puppy up.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Check it out, we found a clock tower.
We gotta save it.
We have to save it. We need flyers.
I happen to have some right here.
Are you serious? That's awesome. All right, what are we missing? We're missing something. What is it?
I know just the thing.
Yeah?
Follow me.
Okay. Oh, much better, Doc. I think it's time to go. Flux capacitor?
Fluxing.
Nice. Wait a minute, I don't think we have enough road to go 88 miles per hour.
Roads, where we're going, you don't need roads.
That's right. Let's do this thing, Doc. Oh man, Joe is such a cool guy to cruise with. Not only did he have that fantastic Back to the Future DeLorean replica, he came prepared with those costumes too. It was a lot of fun. Carolyn?
It looked like a lot of fun too. I still love the DeLorean. Thanks, Alicia. You know, it's a phenomenon, especially true in Detroit. Cars really do bring families together. The history behind this next 1936 coupe weaves through 5 generations.
It was 1953 when Ed Bruni fell in love with this 1936 Chevy Coupe.
I was 15 years old, and the lady 2 doors down was going to trade it in on a new Chevy. She wanted $150 for it. I sold my J.C. Higgins bicycle. I sold my chemistry set. I sold my lawn electric train, cut some lawns, did some stuff, and I came up with about $100. And my dad said, well, okay, I'll kick in the rest, and we bought the car.
Ed and his dad spent the winter of 1953 souping up the car, even if it didn't leave the house for a while.
About when I was 15, I couldn't drive it because I didn't have a driver's license. So all I could do until I turned 16 was drive it up and down the driveway and polish it.
The next year, Ed finally drove his cool coupe and even started a car club called the Road Knights.
This sort of became a hot rod in '54. You know, it was not super fast like cars now, but it was a fun car and we had a lot of fun with it.
Ed's son John loved to hear stories about the 36 coupe. He remembers one his grandfather told over and over again about those street races.
He'd say, Johnny, your dad would come home and second gear would be gone in the car, and he'd look me right square in the eye and say, I'm not racing it, Dad. And then he'd say, but we had a pile of 36 Chevrolet transmissions in the backyard that tall. And your dad could change one out in 20 minutes.
Ed enjoyed the car for years, but at one point, life took him down another road.
I got married, we had the kids, and we had bought a house.
The year the water pump started leaking was the year I was born. So that was kind of it. That's when the car kind of got parked.
Ed's son John was always curious about the car growing up.
It's really a unique car. It's not something you saw a lot. And the whole time I was growing up, he was collecting parts for this car, actually to restore it to an original 1936 Chevrolet.
And about a decade ago, they started restoring the coupe once again into an award-worthy hot rod. They found an overdrive version of a Packard transmission.
It was in the back of a very old junkyard where the trees were growing up through the cars, and so we hauled a bunch of tools and cutting torches and literally excavated the transmission, and you know, everything kind of came together and we were able to really do that together, right? So spend time, you know, all that time with the tools in hand and, you know, kind of feeding off each other, and it was nice. It was special.
He's a car nut like me, you know, and it's really good to do it, and it brings us close together, gives us stuff to talk about that's fun.
Of course, John likes to talk about his favorite moment of the restoration.
It's always when you turn the key for the first time, you know, and the thing comes to life. It's the whole high five moment, right?
For Ed, the car holds 6 decades of memories.
You don't see traditional, real hot rods like this much anymore. We had a lot of fun with this thing, I'll tell you what.
So much love, so many stories, so many memories. Love to see him. Thanks, Brad. We spoke with John Bruni about his dad, Ed. Ed recently moved out west and took the Chevy Coupe with him. It's now being enjoyed by grandkids and great-grandkids alike. Certainly love to see that car being passed throughout generations, Dave.
And what memories it has provided. Up next, some call it a famous flop, but these Edsel owners have a different view of a very smart car for its time.
Let's go!
So many sweet old cars, right? You know, we've got a rare retro collection of cars to show you next. Take a look at the International Car Club, which is devoted to Edsels, that made a stop in Metro Detroit back in 2017.
actually got interested when I was about 12 years old. I kind of gravitated toward the Edsel.
I fell in love with that roof line.
The Edsel seemed to have a more finished-looking interior, more quality to it.
An Edsel club with owners from all over Nebraska, Wisconsin, even Alberta, Canada, came to look at Motor City history at the Henry Ford Museum and share their Edsels.
It's a vertical grill. That was radical for them. It had 18 different models. And then the color combinations to go with those 18 models. The teletouch is an option. That's a shift on the steering center. It's all electronic.
Peter Randall came from Ohio with his 58 Edsel Ranger.
D400 is the model engine, 361 cubic inches, 300 horse. It's a little over 18 feet long. I love it for the way it is and the looks.
Bruce Dean, president of the International Edsel Club, came from Tennessee. He enjoys meeting up with members from all over the country.
It sort of transcends being a collector car club. It's more like, it's like your extended crazy family of cousins and stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun at our meets.
The club is also a way to look for hard-to-find Edsel parts.
A lot of the things are really unique, so you have to scrounge around and find the parts, and so it's sort of a network of folks working toward restoring the cars.
Scrounging for parts is tough because only about 110,000 Edsels were sold.
Its demise is kind of like a modern-day Greek tragedy.
It was a couple of things. Economics was probably the biggest. It was designed to be a mid-price car, and it came out September 4th, 1957. There was a recession going on.
There was a problem with the teletouch shifter.
It was susceptible to rust, dirt, ice, snow. It didn't want to work.
They didn't have like an Edsel exclusive plant to build the cars. So it's like a whole list of different things that kind of came together that I guess spelled doom for the car.
Still, some Edsels long outlived the short production life of the brand. Ronald Nichols, a Plymouth Township, Michigan owner, remembers the day he bought his car.
May 7, 1959. I'm mulling in Lincoln Mercury in Redford, Michigan. I'm a Ford employee, retired now, but I buy the product. I just happen to like the Edsel. It's an Edsel Corsair convertible with a standard shift with a 361 engine in it, 4-barrel. Standard shift and big engine drivetrain. It's been a great car.
Striking automobiles and more automotive history. Well, up next, we revisit the story behind this amphibious automobile. Most cars go cruising down the road, but in 2018, we caught up with a couple of car owners who take their cars for a cruise on the lake.
Wait, what? Can we see that again? What is this?
This is a 1962 Amphicar. These were built in West Berlin in Germany back in the early 60s. They made approximately 3,800 of these cars in that 5-year time period. It's the only vehicle of its type that actually is a boat and a car. It's something strange to drive an expensive vehicle into the lake, and it's like, well, are we going to sink? Is this going to float? There's a seal on the body and a seal on the door. And when you pull the lever back on the door, it pulls the body and the door together, and you get a nice watertight seal.
Chuck and his wife Deanna first saw an Amphicar driving in the Woodward Dream Cruise years ago, and Deanna had to have one.
I've always driven muscle cars with like 400 plus horsepower, and to get a little car like this with whopping 43 horsepower, it was quite a strange change for me.
Turns out they loved it so much, they bought a second Amphicar.
I always decided red and blue would be a great pair.
You will see this pair swimming around the water all summer, making circles, giving each other high fives, and just having a blast with their family and friends in their rare Amphicars.
I really don't think there's that many left. I'm thinking there's maybe 400 or 500, and only several hundred of those are actually water-worthy.
On this perfect summer day, they invited a fellow Amphicar owner to join them. Check out the trio driving into the lake all together.
And this is very unique. When you go to a car show or a car event, you aren't going to see any other Amphicars, so it's a very unusual car, and it's quite a conversation piece.
That's one cool car/boat there. You know, our executive producer, Marie, took a ride in that Amphicar. She said the first time you experience driving into the water, your heart kind of skips a beat as you hope the car really does float. Alan Campbell joins us now with another fond memory. Alan.
Carolyn, 2019 was my first year at the cruise, and it was an incredible experience to see all the cars and, of course, the amazing crowds out there. But there was a moment that really stood out. Here's a look at two cars Glenda and I found driving down Woodward.
Right now behind me here, this is a 69 Pontiac Gto, the judge, and take a look at the license plate here. You guilty. Let's go talk to the owner of this beauty vehicle here. This is Yuri. Yuri, this vehicle is absolutely stunning. It's a classic, but there's a history to this vehicle as well. Tell us a little bit about it.
It was my prom car. Me and my dad in high school restored it. I got it freshman year, did a frame off restoration on it. It's punched out 455, rock crusher transmission, 4-speed. It's been in every Dream Cruise ever since.
Yeah, you've been coming down here since you were, what, 7 years old, and just always admiring the cars, and maybe even one day saying, hey, you know what, I want to take the Pontiac Gto for a cruise.
Exactly. I was in 92 was the first year, I think. We were down at 13 in Woodward in the median back then, standing on that, watching them race. And it was great. And ever since, I wanted to get one of these, and yeah, my dad made the magic happen, and I don't know, loved it ever since.
Yeah, you know what, it really is a special vehicle, but check this out here. I'm going to toss it over to my co-partner over here, Glenda. She's with some Aloha's over there. Hey,
Alan,
Glenda.
The Beach Boys are playing right now, and James Elmore from Marysville, Ohio, brought the beach theme with him today. Look at this Belvy. Tell me, where'd you get it?
Got this car just north of Detroit here in Michigan. Picked it up in 2000 and then restored it. It was painted in 2004.
I see you got the beach crew.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
tell me about the fun Aloha theme.
Oh, it just seems to make everybody happy because we play Beach Boys music. I've got a speaker under the hood, and so people can hear it. And then people, their head starts bobbing, they start dancing. It's just, we get a lot of laughs. It's fun.
Now, I thought you were one family, right?
They're my car family.
But you're cruising car
Yes.
family.
Yep, they
You put
are.
a lot of work into this?
Yes.
A lot of love?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit about what it takes to be a classic car lover.
It's just a hobby that it's the camaraderie, and I think that's what really makes it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Ford, Chevy, Mopar. It's car people are car people, and they take care of each other, and that's the big thing. They help each other out.
And it's just across the board. I mean, even all ages,
Yes.
all stages. There's some kind of history and love that attracts you
Yes.
to the vehicle that you want.
Exactly.
Belvedere, is that a family history?
No, just a unique car, and you don't see too many of them around, so that's why we picked it up.
Well, I wish we had some sand
Yes.
and a few waves to be parked on. I thank you so much for joining me with your beautiful ride.
Thank you.
All right, we'll let you get back to cruising.
All right.
You see all kinds of treasures at the Woodward Dream Cruise, right? Coming up next, Dave, Glenda, Alan, Keenan, Alicia, and I share our favorite memories and personal stories of the cruise. Stay with us. You don't want to miss that.
The sheer nostalgia of the cruise is incredible. I mean, when you're in it, you really do feel like you're transported to another time. But my favorite part about the Dream Cruise has to be the family traditions. The stories on Woodward Avenue about the family bonds that are built through their automobiles and through the time when they went up and down the avenue. It's incredible. I just love it. I have my own family history on Woodward Avenue, and it's amazing. It makes you feel like one big community bond.
You know, I remember taking my son to the Dream Cruise for the first time. He was 2 years old, but loved cars. And it was amazing, you know, just to see so many different kinds of cars. It brought a huge smile to his face. And then to go to Old Woodward, where he can get up close to the cars and see them and just really study them. And I mean, I think it was just an amazing day, not just for him, but for the whole family. Even now when I'm on Old Woodward, even without the Dream Cruise, I'll still think of those memories of having him watch the cars and get up close to them.
I'm so glad that both of my parents got to come up here and go to the Dream Cruise. I will never forget my father, who's passed away now, my dad, walking in downtown Birmingham, and coming across the car he had when he was in college. It was a two-door 57 Chevy Sport Coupe with a white hardtop. And I was like, you're kidding me, this was your car? And he goes, it was this exact car, except this one was red, his was pink. So that was just a lot of fun to have that moment and share that with my dad.
My favorite memory from the Woodward Dream Cruise would have to be from like 10 years ago in Pontiac. I was with one of my favorite co-anchors, Eric Smith and I. We would take over a huge parking lot. Cars would be lined up and down. People would be all over. But right in the center, we would do a performance with little dancers from Legacy Dance School. And what no one knew is that my youngest daughter, Brooke, she would always dance with the Legacy dancers. And so I was a proud mom. I got to see my little girl perform on television. Brooke is 19. She's a dancer at the University of Michigan. And one day I hope to see her dance on Broadway. So just one of my favorite things here on Channel 7 and at the Woodward Dream Cruise.
When it comes to a Woodward Dream Cruise memory, for me, it's not a particular car or year, but it's just the party. It happens each and every year, bringing hundreds of thousands to Woodward Avenue. All those cars and all the smiles. People are happy, they're excited to be there, and it is the best place to people watch as well.
You know, the Woodward Dream Cruise is special. It's got its own unique little thing about it, that it really brings in people from not only all over the US, but Canada, Mexico, from overseas, because they all want to come here. They all want to show off their vehicles. It's just a place to be. It's the motor mecca. There's no other place you'd want to be than in Michigan for the Woodward Dream Cruise.
Wow, we really do have a wonderful time on Woodward Avenue. We truly hope we'll be back on the Avenue come next year.
Yeah, it's been a blast to go back in time and share all of these Woodward Dream Cruise memories with you. Throughout the years, the hundreds of Channel 7 crews have worked on this show, of course, and an even greater number of volunteers have worked in the Woodward Dream Cruise communities.
What a ride this has been tonight. We thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you out on Woodward cruising next year.